when did you get to Cairns? What's your travel routine been?
Yeah, we arrived in Cairns yesterday, like late morning, right around lunchtime.
So the travel and back-to-back games and stuff is obviously one of the biggest challenges you're going to face at the moment. How do you feel the group is adjusting to what is a pretty tough schedule that you've had for the past couple of days?
Yeah, look, it's funny. A couple of us were sitting around this morning at breakfast saying like it actually felt like game day today, because over the last 3 weeks to finish the season, we had the Friday, Sunday. So we've actually got an extra day in between. So we don't know what to do with ourselves right now.
The emotional side of winning on the Friday and then losing on the Sunday has been a challenge. Did you feel that doing what you did against Southeast Melbourne after such an emotional win over the Sydney showed that they've adjusted to that now and a better placed to handle what they just did over the other day against the Phoenix?
Yeah, and I think to go along with that, the easy equation in it all now is if you lose, you're done. Where at the tail end of our season, like we're still in good shape to make the playoffs, and it wasn't as do or die. Where now, it's one or the other. We win in advance or lose and go home.
Bryce has obviously done everything in this league on the big stage, but you've got so many other guys who have performed either here or around the world in finals. Do you feel that experience put together is giving you a real edge going into this final series?
Yeah, I think that gives you a confidence when you get to these type of games. You mentioned Bryce, but like Jesse Wagstaff, Mitch Norton, Brady's played on big stages before, like the Final Four. Tayshaun's had a successful career himself, and then, there's a litany of other guys on our roster that have played in the playoffs and won championships, the Websters, so, we're well placed for that. So hopefully the emotion that goes along with playoff basketball, we can be the team that can handle that with a better mentality.
They seem quite calm throughout it all to you the other night. Like finals can make people go in two ways. They can be calm or they can lose the plot. Did you sense that as a group they were quite calm no matter what the scoreboard read?
I would say a calm urgency. There was a couple timeouts, like anyone that's watched us, our coaches, we huddled together really quickly to throw our thoughts around, and then we come to the group with suggestions. But there was one particular timeout where the players were very engaged on what was going on. So I only had to put the icing on the cake because those guys were controlling that themselves. And that's great to see. A player-led team is ultimately the best way to be.
And from a health perspective, have you still got all of them healthy and ready to go?
Yeah, Tayshaun probably was the biggest concern with his knee injury. He got through the game. He had some unbelievable athletic plays, which for me, that showed that these knees responded well to treatment. And now, we've had a good amount of time for him to recuperate from the game, and he'll be ready to go tomorrow night.
You want to try another voice, Em?
Hey, John, it's Beck from 10. Just wanted to ask you about Brady Mannion. I know we all spoke about Bryce Cotton in the final quarter and his performance, but Brady, it felt like Brady kept you in it when there were moments there where it could have blown out. Can you talk to us about his impact?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, the first half, he made timely baskets, and he had a nice little spurt there where he was the one keeping us in the game. And I think I referenced it after the game where, we kept it at a manageable deficit or a deficit where we knew we weren't playing well. And if we had a hot spurt at some stage, we could seize some momentum that Southeast had at that point in time. And then I just remember one particular play, end of third quarter, I believe, maybe early in the fourth, where he slips and gets a dunk. And when teams start to load up on Bryce, having those guys that can just chip in those baskets really keeps the opposition, guessing and just not relying on Bryce in those situations.
What's the main thing you learnt from the last game against Cairns?
Rebounding. It's something that is a common thread when we get off to slow starts or we lose a game is the rebounding. And Cairns did a great job in the first quarter of, taking the game more physically to us than we did to them. So if we can come out and address that early on, we'll have a fighter's chance.
Cheers.
Thanks, Beck.
Hey, John, Mitch here. Just quickly, can you your matchups with the Taipans have been pretty interesting this year, as you've already kind of touched on. Who blowouts your way kind of early, and then a blowout, not a blowout, but a pretty comfortable win their way as well. Can you put your finger on why kind of either side's been able to dominate so much in each matchup?
I think each team, with the flow of the game, has allowed to impose their will or the way that they would like to play the game. But in saying that, if you recall the game at RAC, third quarter, we're down 4 points, and everyone thought it was a catastrophe of a game. So we certainly had our chances and moments in that game. We just didn't seize them. The great thing about the Southeast Melbourne game is, we're down 11 points and we had a real belief about ourselves and what we're about. And we turned the tide because we wanted it. So the game's not going to be perfect tomorrow against Cairns. They're going to make a run or two. So as long as we can handle that momentum, we'll be in good shape,
Are you still feeling the same pressure that you felt the last kind of few weeks, with it almost being do or die every game for a little while? Or is there a little bit of pressure that's come off knowing that you have now won one of those playoff games and you've kind of performed in the pressure moments? Has that kind of taken a little bit of the pressure off you coming into this matchup?
My approach and my thought process never changes. These games now just get a little bit more highlighted because there's 5 teams still alive versus 10 teams, and the spotlight's a little brighter on our games. But our approach and our mindset has certainly not changed, and we got guys that love the opportunity and the mindset that's required to win a championship, and we got game winners on our roster, so that's exciting for me.
That's all from me. Thanks, John.
No worries, Mitch.
I'll just jump back in quickly. You got Bryce Cotton playing his 200th and Luke Travers playing his 100th. Two pretty handy players. You want to give them a bit of a tribute for their milestones and what you've loved about coaching them this season?
Yeah, Bryce reaching 200 games, maybe besides a handful of players, I'm not sure who's probably had a better start to their NBL career over their first 200 games. Like Andrew Gaze and Leroy Logan certainly would jump out in my mind as far as guys just, playing at a high level in their first 200. And the last 10 minutes that we played, it really shows what, his strengths are as a player. He's a match winner, phenomenal for this league, for this franchise, and what he can do. But I know he's not going to be worried about 200. He's going to be worried about the scoreboard and us coming out on the right end of that. So, but for me, coaching Bryce Cotton, it's, I come in with a level of expectation and making sure that I allowed him to continue to thrive. And I think we've forged a good relationship and understanding of each other through that. Luke Travers, for him at such a young age to play 100 games, I think, the thing that I'm most happiest about for both himself and our franchise is his gradual improvement, and it looks like he's ready to embrace that next step and become a high-level, consistent performer.